Is Ferrari really finished after the disaster in Miami? Or is there anything that we are not seeing in the SF-25 that could change everything? After a weekend of high expectation, the Miami 2025 Grand Prix left Ferrari in front of a mirror difficult to ignore. On a track that seemed favorable for its characteristics, the team not only failed to compete for the podium, but was relegated to painfully modest positions. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton finished 7th and 8th respectively, 57 seconds from McLaren from Lando Norris, a humiliating difference for a team that aspires to titles. Beyond the final time, the emotional blow was even deeper. In terms of pure rhythm, Ferrari was not even close to the leaders. The contrast was so severe that in certain sections of the circuit, even shields such as Haas or Williams became faster in slow curves. The weekend was plagued with disturbing signals from day one. In classification, Hamilton was eliminated in Q2 while Leclerc barely entered the Q3 to sign a disappointing 8th place. The only light in a dark tunnel came in the sprint, when Hamilton achieved a podium thanks to a timely strategy in the rain, more product of meteorological chaos than of the natural performance of the SF-25. That isolated action served more as momentary anesthesia than as a progress proof. The raw truth was evident in the main race, where Ferrari's inability to capitalize on the virtual safety car contrasted with McLaren's surgical precision, which made his stop at the exact moment and opened an impossible gap impossible to close. Fred Vasseur, in his role as team director, did not turn to excuses. His words were as transparent as worrying. He openly recognized that McLaren was in another category that day, even above Red Bull and Mercedes. And although he tried to clarify, pointing out that Ferrari's career rhythm was comparable to his persecutors, the general feeling was to have retreated in the hierarchical order of the grille. The most alarming thing was that the car seemed to have isolated strengths, but not a solid base. He was fragile in slow curves, irregular in traction and limited in strategic adjustments, which shows that the problem is not punctual but structural. Ferrari not only faced a sports defeat, but also a blow to his reconstruction narrative. After a 2024 where they showed clear signals of recovery, the performance in Miami staggered that illusion. The comparison with McLaren was particularly painful, since the British seemed to move in another category: efficient strategy consisting of rhythm and solids and reliability. Meanwhile, in Maranello, the questions began to multiply. Is this the roof of the SF-25 or just the lowest point before the ascent? Does the duo Leclerc-Hamilton have the tools to reverse the course, or are they running out of time in a season that already begins to run against it? In Ferrari, they soon recognized that the real challenge did not come from outside. The problem was not just that McLaren and Red Bull were faster, but the SF-25, their own creation, was betraying them from within. The technical reality of the car began to evidence a career after a career. It was fast only under extremely specific conditions, and those conditions were not always attainable without compromising the legality of the car. The SF-25 needs to run very low to generate the necessary aerodynamic load level, but doing so exposes Ferrari to the risk of violating the standards. This technical dilemma became scandalous in the Chinese Grand Prix, where the car was disqualified by excessive wear of the sliding plate. That problem with the height of the car represents a very dangerous design contradiction. To perform, the SF-25 must approach the ground, but make it compromise the integrity of the flat background and the legality of the car. If, on the other hand, they lift it to avoid regulatory problems, they lose performance, especially in tensile and rear aerodynamic stability. It is a dead end. This problem has directly affected Lewis Hamilton's confidence in the braking phase, one of the areas where the British has historically built part of his competitive advantage. A car that does not offer braking security is a car that forces the pilot to give tenths in each curve, in each attack or defense attempt. The design philosophy of the SF-25 has also been evidenced by its inability to adapt to different types of path. In slow curves, the car seems completely disconnected from the pilot. In high-speed sectors, it is unpredictable in terms of aerodynamic balance. This forces constant adjustments that end up generating a car that radically changes behavior between sessions, something that makes it difficult to create a coherent tuning for the whole weekend. It is not simply a car with weak points, but one with too many variables against that they prevent a sustainable competitive rhythm during a career. In the background, the SF-25 is not a total failure, but it is a car with structural limitations that require more than aerodynamic surface solutions. It is necessary to redesign part of the suspension philosophy and the rear package approach to correct the lack of traction and stability. This takes time, and in modern Formula One, time is a luxury that you don't always have. Ferrari knows it, and that is why the speech has changed. There is no longer talk of competing for immediate victories, but of extracting the potential of the car. What sounds like euphemism, but hides a more raw truth. The SF-25 is not ready to fight with the best, at least not yet. The situation in Ferrari is complex, but the team has not surrendered. After the initial disappointments of the 2025 season, the Scuderia is not only making technical adjustments, but also a coordinated effort to redefine its focus. Fred Vasseur, aware of the challenges, has indicated that the SF-25 still has without exploiting potential. This is not an empty statement, but a strategic reflection on what can still be achieved with the car, despite its initial limitations. The team has intensified their work in the critical aspects of the car that require immediate evolution, seeking to maximize performance while following certain design aspects that have been problematic. One of the main work foci is the improvement of the stability and traction of the SF-25, especially in the rear of the car. The lack of aerodynamic load on the back has been one of the key factors that has affected the confidence of the pilots in the braking phases. The engineers are considering reviews in the rear suspension system, with the intention of achieving a more balanced balance that allows greater confidence to the pilots, especially in high-speed curves and in the most critical braking phases. This type of modifications are not easy or quick to implement, but they can make a significant difference in the way the car behaves on the track. It is essential for Ferrari to find that balance, since without a solid base in terms of stability and traction, pilots will not be able to squeeze the maximum performance of the SF-25. In addition, the equipment approach is not limited to solving immediate problems. Ferrari is also working on a long-term approach, with a view to the next updates that could be available as the season progresses. The next great awards, such as those of Imola and Monaco, will be crucial to assess whether the inquiry modifications can begin to bear fruit. In these circuits, where technique and strategy are fundamental, Ferrari has the opportunity to show its ability to adapt and overcome its current weaknesses. The Monaco track, in particular, favors cars with good manageability and the ability to adjust the aerodynamic load to the circuit demands. If Ferrari manages to optimize the SF-25 to better adapt to these challenges, it could take a great step towards recovering its competitiveness. On the other hand, the human factor plays an essential role in this reconstruction process. Lewis Hamilton, with all his experience, has contributed an invaluable perspective on how to improve car behavior. Although the beginning of his relationship with Ferrari was not perfect, his comments and adjustments in his pilot style have been key to understanding how to maximize SF-25 strengths. Hamilton has shown a total disposition to adapt to the car, and this is something that Ferrari needs to make the most. The presence of Hamilton in the team has also raised the morals of engineers and pilots, since their winning mentality and experience are important resources in the search for technical solutions. Charles Leclerc, on the other hand, has demonstrated a great capacity to adapt to difficult circumstances. Although he has had problems with the configuration of the car, his resilience and his ability to recover positions in complicated situations continue to be one of the most valuable assets of the team. Monegasco is no stranger to pressure, and its ability to overcome in the race shows a mental strength that will be crucial as Ferrari work to improve the performance of the SF-25. The key will be that Ferrari manages to take advantage of the complementary skills of both pilots, the strategic cunning of Leclerc and Hamilton's technical experience. With the season advancing, Ferrari has the opportunity to correct the course. The continuous work in the technical details and the optimization of the SF-25, combined with the improvement of the performance of its pilots, can transform the Scuderia into a stronger contender as the year advances. The 2025 season is not lost, but the margin of error is small. Ferrari knows that he needs to show visible progress in the next races to stay in the fight, especially in a year where the competition, headed by McLaren and Red Bull, will not take respite. However, if they manage to take advantage of the hidden potential of the SF-25 and continue to improve its performance, Ferrari could be a team that, although it does not dominate, it does challenge for the leadership on the grill. Ferrari is located at a crossroads. After years of ups and downs, this beginning of the season has once again hit the morale of a hobby that does not stop dreaming, but also to demand. The SF-25 has not lived in the first races, but the story is not yet written completely. What happens within the team shows that there is a real will to correct the course, to make brave decisions and not let the preseason work be completely lost. Although the immediate results have been disappointing, there is a base on which to build and a visible commitment in each area of the team. The fight is not only technical, but mental. When the podiums do not arrive, the pressure multiplies, the rumors intensify, and the media narrative tends to reduce the season to a few races. But within Ferrari, the conviction remains. With two champions behind the wheel and a leadership that has demonstrated self-criticism, the possibility of a comeback exists. It will not be simple, it will not be fast, but it is possible. The SF-25 may not be the most dominant car at this time, but with work, strategic adjustments, and intelligent technical development, it can still become a serious threat. Now the question is open. Are we facing a transition season for Ferrari, or are we witnessing the birth of a more resilient version of the Scuderia? Is this 2025 a year of frustrations or the beginning of a new stage marked by progressive recovery? Everything will depend on the decisions taken from now on and off the track. And also if the team manages to convert the pressure into motivation.